Well, as predicted, most of the screws have come out. This one, the head is completely chewed up, so I'm going to try to drill that head off of there. The pickguard was already broken here, and that screw I can't remove, but of course I can ease off that piece of pickguard and probably get to it with a pair of pliers. I think that's broken due to the stress that's put on that screw by the jack plug being pulled out and pushed back in. So when I come to put this back on, I'm going to put a couple of extra screws into the pickguard here. But yeah, let's see what I can do with that. Right, so I've sawn a slot in this screw, and yeah, I think I might be able to get it out now. Oh, gently does it. That's it, it's coming. Yeah. So whilst I was taking the bridge off, two of the screws sheared off, so part of the screw is left in there. Obviously I need to get those out. The problem is when you try to drill a screw out of wood, when the drill comes down and it hits the hard screw, it will then tend to wander. It wants to take the path of least resistance, so it will wander off and it will go into the wood rather than the screw itself. So I've just got this piece of mild steel, drilled the appropriate size hole. I'm going to clamp that on, drill through that into the body, and hopefully that will stop it from wandering and allow me to drill out the remainder of the screw. So I don't know if you can see in this light, the lacquer has cracked around here. There's nothing structural about that because obviously the neck is screwed to this part here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run some cyanoacrylate through there, really just to hold the lacquer together. And if there is any sort of crack in the plywood there, or delamination I should say, then the cyanoacrylate will just wick in and really glue it back together again. If I feed it in that side, if there is any problem I should see it there. Yeah, it hasn't come out, so I'm quite happy that that's all sound. Right, so as I say, I'll put the cyanoacrylate on and then I'll clean it all up with some micro mesh and buff it up. That's just going to solidify the cracking around those edges. So what I'm doing is I'm just going over the whole of the body with some really fine micro mesh abrasive, really just as a way of cleaning all that dirt and grime that's accumulated over the years. I don't mind all the chips and the scratches and all that sort of thing, but what I don't like is it, you know, just being dirty. Going to avoid taking off this last part of sticker, which would have said made in Taiwan and its serial number or model number. That's again all part of its character. So yeah, just concentrating really on making the body clean. So so after using the micro mesh, I'm just now using some polishing compound, some burnishing cream, just to try to revive it a bit. So there we have it, the body of the K base looking rather lovely. I think all that polishing has paid off. Really brought out those the colours in the sunburst there. And also the work, if you remember, I did with the cyanoacrylate around here, all of that's cleaned up nicely too. So yeah, very pleased with the way that it's looking. So you can see that I've painted the inside of this cavity with some conductive paint, so that will help shield the electronics. Although that said, there was very little hum at all when I've had it plugged into an amplifier. Regarding the tailpiece, these two holes I've already told you about, that's where the screws had sheared off inside, so they've been plugged and re-drilled. I also decided to plug these remaining 3 holes. The screws were just so wonky, they were really going in at a steep angle, so I've plugged those and I'll re-drill those when I come to fit the bridge and the tailpiece on. And also I had to plug this hole here. The strap button that was on this end was sort of held in place by what looked like a rusty nail and a blob of epoxy, so that had to be taken care of too. So before I sign off, just a couple of other little points of interest, I guess. The body, as you can probably see, is completely made from plywood, as indeed many of these, or maybe all of these cheap and cheerful guitars were back in the day. Trying to find out the history of these is all a bit sketchy, but what I found interesting here is within this cavity there are some numbers stamped, and they match the numbers on the underside of the neck: 68, 10, 15. Now I can't imagine on a guitar of this quality that they would take the time to stamp individual serial numbers on them. So I'm kind of taking that as maybe that's the date of manufacture, i.e. was this made in October 1968? I mean, if you know any differently, please tell me. But yeah, so that's the body of the bass now completed to my satisfaction, and I'll get on with the rest of it. So yeah, I'll give you an update in the next video. So until then, you take care. Cheers.